Hello, divas. Welcome to Pink Table Topics. Please put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. Before we move forward, please let me know if you can hear me. How's everybody doing? Hey, Teresa. So Teresa put a one in the chat. Hello, and welcome to Pink Table Topics. I am your host and good sis, Pink Diva. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry. As you're pulling your seat up to the table, please don't forget to hit that like button for me. Feel free to drop down and leave a comment, and also engage in our topic. And turn your bell notifications on so that you'll be notified each and every time I drop a new topic. And as you know, our mission is to create a safe space for women to gather as a community, engage in healthy dialogue regarding real life issues that we as women deal with on a daily basis, but most importantly, to foster the true meaning of sisterhood. And if you are here, that means you are subscribed and representing the Diva tribe. And we're not just any diva. We are divine, we are inspiring, we are valiant, and we are admirable. Welcome to the table, divas. Happy Tuesday. How is everybody doing? Did everybody have a good Tuesday? A good week thus far? We're just 2 days in, but how is everybody doing? I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me. Hey, Teresa, my mod, my sis Teresa is in the house. Hey, sis, my sis Chit Chat with QT. She is driving. Be careful, sis. We'll see you when you get back, but be careful. But how are you doing? How are you doing? I had a great but busy Tuesday. I can't complain. It is what it is. Um, but we're almost to hump day. It's almost Wednesday. I hope you had a great day as well. And we all know the Mother's Day is coming up. Mother's Day is on Sunday, isn't it? This coming Sunday, I think. Yes, Mother's Day is this coming Sunday. Teresa says she had a great day. Good, sis. I had a good day as well. I can't complain. Our weather was absolutely amazing today. It was the perfect spring day. Oh my goodness. I could have sat outside all day long. I did go outside for a little while and swept my sidewalk and my front door area off a little bit. But oh my goodness, it was such a beautiful day. I am such a country girl. I love spring and summer. Those are my favorite months. I love the sunshine. I love being outside. So I am so looking forward to some great summer and spring and summer days so that I can actually give me a chair and sit outside. Oh my goodness. Teresa said it's 70 and cool here in the DMV. Oh my goodness. It was 70, it's either 67 or 77. I can't remember. I want to say 77, but it was absolutely amazing. It was a perfect day for a cute little sundress and some sandals. It was a great day. A great day. Hey, sis. Sis says, hey, divas, please hit the like button. Thanks for joining, sis. Did you make it back? You're not driving, are you? I was just telling Teresa how beautiful the weather was today. Hey, Missy. Thanks for joining, sis. How are you? Thanks for pulling up to the table. It was such a great day. Such a great day. I hope we have this weather all week long. I am so looking forward to it. Praying for a great Mother's Day weekend. This coming Saturday, I have a my Divas group will be participating in the Walk Now to End Lupus walk. We'll be volunteering there, which we do every year. So I'll be there this coming Saturday morning. So hopefully the weather is nice, but rain or shine, we're there anyway. But hopefully the weather permits. Sis says she's still driving. Okay, sis, be careful. So hopefully the weather permits. But nonetheless, I'm not going to hold you. I am not going to hold you long at all. I still have to log off and finish some more work. I have a busy month actually already. It's graduation season, it's prom season. We're moving into wedding season. And this week is Teachers Appreciation Week. So I have had tons of orders I've been working on. I have some more cookies I have to get off and bake when I'm done. So I am not going to hold you long. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our topic. As you're coming in, please make sure that you hit the like button for me. Feel free to drop down and engage in the topic. Those of you that are listening in, if you are in the bushes, thank you for listening, but please drop down and hit the like button for me. It would be greatly appreciated. And thank you to each and every one of you that are subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it. As you know, it would not be any Pink Table Topics without you all trusting me to provide some good topics and a safe space for you all to come and gather with me. So I really do appreciate you, each and every one of you. We are almost to our 1,000 mark. And again, just thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to move forward and talking about our topic tonight. Tonight, we are continuing talking about our series on coping with toxic family members. It's been, I think, earlier last month, we had our first segment in coping with toxic family members, but there was something that has transpired. And I wanted to talk about it because it fits within the element of talking about the whole dealing with toxic family members. Again, I think it was back in April, I think that we took a deep dive into starting the series, and we're talking about, again, toxic family members, family drama, all of the above. And I saw something that aligned with our discussion. I wanted to bring it to the table this evening, which is why we are here. I don't know how many of you are actually are familiar with the show Toya and Reginae that aired on WeTV, but on the show, they aired basically some battles between that she was facing with her family unit, trying to mend their broken relationship. They lost two of their younger brothers behind, them trying to defend their mom against the guy that she had gotten some illegal substances from. Two of the older brothers were in prison due to a bank robbery at the time, and she didn't have a really good relationship with her sister nor her mom during that time frame because of her mom's substance abuse issue. The kids were pretty much scattered amongst other family members, and they didn't really get a chance to grow up together. So fast forward to the show and how the show came about. Basically, Toya decided to bring her family members to her show in hopes of, one, trying to get them out of the hood in New Orleans, out of fear that they would possibly lose another brother, and move them closer to her in Atlanta. And then two, trying to help them gain some type of positive notoriety and gain some income. So she was trying to bring them on the show for that purpose. And of course, the show highlights the ups and downs of the family drama, where portions of it they attempted to do therapy on several occasions, but still, for whatever reason, the brothers still hold some sort of resentment toward her, and they feel as though she's obligated to put them in a better position because she's the one that is seemingly doing well for herself, right? And from what hey, Aunt Debbie, thanks for joining. How you feeling? Thanks you for being here. I appreciate you. And from what I've witnessed, they have more venom for her than they actually have for their mom, whose substance abuse issue is where all of this drama stems from. There's a lot of unaddressed childhood trauma and a lot of hatred that they have with Toya because they feel like she thinks she's better than them because she, quote unquote, made it out of the hood per se. And they tend to have overlooked all of the things that the mom has done to them, like how she they tend to, hey, Girlfriend Chronicles, thanks for joining, sis. They tend to have overlooked all of the things that Toya has actually done for them, how she actually took in and raised the daughter of one of the brothers that were unalived. She practically raised the younger brother. She kept money on the books of the two oldest brothers that were in prison at the time. She gave her mom a home. She helped her mom write a cookbook. She even helped her mom open a restaurant. She allowed her sister to live with her as well. And they still say that she does absolutely nothing for them. Hey, Square Biz, Thanks for joining, sis. I appreciate you for being here. Now, we all know that dealing with toxic family members is painful. We get that. We discussed that in our earlier segment, talking about the toxic family members, because family for us, family is supposed to be our safe space. But for many of us, unfortunately, it's where some of our deepest wounds come from. But we have to learn how to protect our peace in the meantime while navigating through these complex relationships with family. And what I've learned through the years is that no matter how much you do for some folks, it still won't be enough. You can give them the last few dollars you have in your pocket and they'll still expect you to go and find some more. It's a constant battle that, a lot of us face because our main goal has always been to keep the family together. We have been so conditioned throughout our lifespan to thinking that it was all about family by all means necessary. We have folks in the family that know who the troublemakers are, but they'll still try to force you to go along just to get along for the sake of peace in the family, per se. They don't care about the mental anguish that you have to go through in dealing with the toxicity that comes along with it. They like to try to cover it up by saying, well, you just know how that person is. They don't expect you to get tired of it. They continue to try to guilt you into becoming the punching bag and just letting folks treat you any old kind of way because you should be the bigger person. And instead of addressing the issue, they want to force you to keep turning the other cheek. But when is enough enough? Hey, CC, thanks for joining, sis. When is enough enough? I've had to deal with that myself. And for me, I just had to learn how to start recognizing the toxic behavior, the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, the guilt tripping, the controlling behavior. I had to learn how to implement healthy boundaries for myself and being okay with saying no without feeling guilt to enforce limits without having to constantly explain myself. See, a lot of times people want us to always explain why I say I want to set a boundary with a person. So I had to learn how to just say no without feeling guilty. And sometimes you have to just break free from the idea that family is everything at the cost of your well-being. Because sometimes we'll just keep going and going and going, and then they'll just continue to do what they're doing. And we're constantly staying in that whole cycle of toxicity out of the sake of family. So I had to learn how to detach without carrying hate or resentment for that individual. And I made it my business to be unavailable when I didn't want to be triggered, because sometimes, being around certain people in the family, it's a trigger for you, especially when you've had to deal with so much toxicity. You just have to learn how to just set that boundary, separate yourself, and just no longer be available to those individuals. You ever had that family member that you just knew they was going to say something and all hell was going to break loose? You just knew all hell was going to break loose. And child, listen, I have been there on multiple occasions. And, there were just a lot of times that I just chose not to go around or attend a family function or whatever the case may be, just to preserve my peace. And sometimes you just have to separate yourself from those individuals because, like I was saying earlier, family members that are still cool with said individual that you have the issue with within the family, they will still try to make it seem like, you're in the wrong for wanting to, cut this person off or choosing to not deal with this person any longer because of all the drama that is attached to them. And they'll continue wanting you to show up and just keep being the bigger person. But eventually you just get tired of being the punching bag. Eventually you just get tired of, just being in, sometimes to me, I have found so much peace by learning to just, what? I don't have to talk to this person. I don't have to be around this person. And I felt like I've been so much more. Have you ever been in a situation to where you had to cut somebody off and then you just realize how much more peaceful you are by no longer being connected to that person? I had to learn that. I have to learn. Hey, Kimberly, thanks for joining, sis. Teresa says, yes, it is. You have to set boundaries. Absolutely. You definitely have to set boundaries. And I had to learn that. So I'm going to share my screen and let you all listen to this clip that I have. This is Toya. She is explaining, how she's feeling with this whole drama. Like, and a little bit more backstory on the situation is I mentioned earlier, she, brought her brothers to the show. She allowed her brothers to come to the show. And everybody knows with reality TV, you choose to show up and show what you want to be aired. It's up to you. Everybody has the obligation to show what you want the producers to show, right? Nobody can force you to say anything you don't want to be shown. You can't control the edits and how they edit what you say and how you say it, but whatever information you give them, you can choose or not choose to give them that information. So basically, the brothers, after the show wrapped, the brothers kind of had an issue with, well, they were saying they didn't get paid as much money as she got paid for the show, right? But again, everybody has contracts. You have to sign contracts. And we're not going to get into the all of that portion of it. But anyway, the brothers chose to run to social media and basically just start bashing Toya and, basically saying she don't do anything for us. And, all she cares about is her new husband, which her new family, which is her husband and her girls, right? And, they have an issue with the life. They basically have an issue with the life that she's living currently. And they feel like, and you know how sometimes people can sit and be on the outside looking in at your life and looking at how you spending your money. And, oh, you bought a new car. Now you got a new house, but you could be using that money to give to us and help us, right? Because we choose to be lazy and not want to, go out and get jobs and try to maintain ourselves. They feel like you should constantly be feeding into and giving to them. So basically, that's pretty much where her brothers are with the situation. So they ran to social media and they started to bash her. But this clip we're going to show is basically her explaining how all of this is making her feel. This is what it is. So I am going to put my copyright disclaimer up. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. All topics are for entertainment purposes only. The information presented in this live video shouldn't be taken as fact. Everything is alleged. So let me turn this up. Let me share my screen. One moment. I'm going to share my screen. Share. Okay, and here we go.
Constantly let my family, dog, ruin me, like turn me into like something else. It's like since I've been doing being around them and trying to help them, I'm finding myself declining. It's like I'm tired of it. I can't do it no more, and I have to focus on my family because the hurtful, dog. Like, it's really, really hurtful. I have to do what's best for me, and that's setting boundaries. I can't keep doing it. It's like I sound like a broken record. It's like I do it with one, then the next thing happened, then the next thing happened, and the next thing happened, and the next thing happened. What the you the fool? And it's like I feel stupid for even saying it. It's just my heart. Like, I genuinely want them to get it right. Like, I genuinely want to build with them, like, for real. And it's just so hard. Like, it's so hard because it's always you think you better than everybody. Bitch, that ain't even who I am. I've always been humble. I'm constantly letting my family, dog, ruin me. Like, turn me into like something else. It's like since I've been doing being around them and trying to help them, I'm finding myself declining. It's like I'm tired of it. I can't do it no more, and I have to focus on my family because the hurtful, dog. Like, it's really, really hurtful. I have to do what's best for me, and that's setting boundaries. I can't keep doing it. It's like I sound like a broken record. It's like I do it with one, then the next thing happened, then the next thing happened, and the next thing happened, and the next thing happened. What the beautiful. And it's like, I feel stupid for even saying it. It's just my heart. Like, I genuinely want them to get it right. Like, I genuinely want to build with them, like, for real. And it's just so hard. Like, it's so hard because it's always, you think you better than everybody. Bitch, that ain't even who I am. I've always been humble. I'm constantly letting my...
Okay. Let me remove that from the screen. Whew. Hey, Follow Me Black TV. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Did y'all feel that? Did y'all feel that? And again, I don't know everything that they have been through or what they are going through. Of course, we only know what, they show on TV. So I'm more so talking about what she said, how she expressed what she was feeling. I don't know about y'all, but I have been there. I have been there. It's almost like you do one thing, they want you to do something else. Then you do that, then somebody else needs help. I have been, y'all, if only y'all knew, I have been at having moments to where I just feel like everybody just thinks I'm an ATM machine. Everything that goes wrong, they want to call you for everybody's issue. Everything that somebody else is dealing with, they want to make it your issue. They want to make it your problem because they seemingly think, like I say, we are so conditioned to just look on the outside, be on the outside looking in, and just sit and think that people tend to have it all together because they look good. Everything looks like they're holding it all together on the outside. And and people like that don't ever take the opportunity, take the time to just stop and think, before I just call and ask for something, let me just see how she's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some people, you can see their name come across the caller ID and they calling to ask for something. You don't even want to answer the phone because they're calling to ask for something, or they're calling because it's some drama done popped off. Some people don't ever connect with you until something is either going on or it's a mess that they're trying to pull you into and make it your problem when it has nothing to do with you. Square Beard says the best thing I did was to accept them as they are and completely stopped hoping for different behavior. That's all we can do. Hey, Follow Me Black TV. Thanks for joining. Sis says, child, people will use you up. Free yourself, Tori. Absolutely. Yes, Teresa. It's very draining. Teresa says, I'm there now. Girl, you and me both. Girl, listen. If only people knew. Girlfriend Chronicle says, I understand what she is saying. It is draining. It's very draining. You can't always bring me up when they drag you down because they are. Absolutely. It's always something. People are just never satisfied. Squarebeard says conserve emotional energy by refusing to engage in arguments or manipulative conversations. I totally agree. Girlfriend Chronicle says move in silence and wish them well from a distance. That's true. That's true. And the thing is, you'll have people just sitting back watching your life, and we shouldn't have to move in silence. We should be able to, operate at our best selves the way we choose to operate. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't have to always, again, try to dumb down, what we have or don't have out of the sake of thinking, okay, this person will see me with this, and then they go act like I got some money. And then now everybody want money. I just really don't understand. And I had to go through, I have to deal with that a lot with my brother. And to those of you that's been here for a while, I've stressed this on many occasions. My brother can do no wrong in the eyes of my dad. That's his son. That's his one and only son. He can do no wrong in the eyes of my dad. And the only connection that I have with my brother currently is my dad. That's it. The only time I reach out to him is to check on my dad if for whatever reason my dad don't answer their phone or whatever the case may be. But typically, every time I'm conversating with my dad, it's always, he'll have you talk to your brother and have you this with your brother. And I say, well, I just often wonder, do you have these same conversations with him? Why is it that it feels like you want me to be the bigger person in the situation? And instead of you, having that conversation with him, because keep in mind, my brother is older than me, but he is constantly always drilling me about, well, that's your brother and this, that, and the third. I'll never forget. My brother had been arrested for something. I can't remember what it was because I didn't ask details. I just remember my dad calling me, saying that he needed $500 to post bail. And keep in mind, now I'm the one that pays my dad's bills. I make sure that he can live very comfortably and he doesn't have to spend like his little social security checks on bills or anything. And it's disheartening to me when I'm sitting here helping him live comfortably, but then he's taking his savings and spending it on his son because his son is doing stupid stuff or whatever the case may be. So my dad I can't remember what it was I had just bought for my dad, or something that I had done. And when my dad called me and told me that my brother had been arrested and he needed $500 to post bail, girl, I had to just really sit here and look at the phone like, what you telling me for? And the fact that he said, well, that's your brother. And then I say, well, you know what? At his age, he has no business in jail. Whatever the situation was that caused him to be put there, he needs to stay there and wait it out. Whatever it was, I remember he went to court for something. He ended up winning the case that he went to court for. But you know how the judge would tell you when they announce the verdict that you shouldn't make any commotion or applause or they'll hold you in contempt. But he clapped when he was found not guilty. He ended up clapping. And the judge gave him 60 days, I want to say 60, or I think it was 90 days, because they held him in contempt of court for that reason. But anyway, he needed to pay like $500 for something. And I was sitting there, and to me, it was heartbreaking for me because here I was, the one that was trying to help my dad. But then on the outside looking in, I'm seeing how my dad was really stressing on trying to send my brother this money. And I'm sitting there like, well, if he's there, that means he broke the law and he should sit there and deal with the circumstances until he's free, right? He shouldn't be treated any different, because I think that you can send them like, what do you call, like hygiene stuff? Like I never knew that. You can send them like a care box with hygiene stuff and all of that kind of stuff. So and put money on their books for commissary and all of that stuff. And that's what my dad was trying to do. But he was trying to guilt me into doing it, and it was constantly like, well, that's your brother. And if it was you, I said, well, see, Dad, that's the difference. It's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. And if it was me, I got a whole husband. I would never in a million years call my elderly father and put him in a situation to where he's trying to collect money, which my dad could have, but I control the majority of his stuff. But the fact that he would sit there and give his last for a son that continues to make a very toxic individual at that continues to make bad decisions at his big age. And it basically was a slap in the face to me, because I'm sitting here like, nobody ever stopped to ask if I struggle. Nobody ever stopped to ask, like, do you even have it to give? Or, don't even say, I appreciate you for, doing what you do, because, my dad is old school and he has that mentality of, well, you're my kid. This is basically what you're supposed to do as I'm older. And I get that. But sometimes I just, and he has told me that he appreciate me, but it to me is more so a slap in the face for me, because here I am, I be taking, my little extra, and I'm doing things for you so that you can be comfortable. But in the same time, it's almost like I'm helping you take care of your son. And I don't like that. I don't like feeling like, I'm doing things for you, but freeing up space for you to be doing something for your son, because I don't feel him like that. I wouldn't give him a dime. You hear me? Not one red penny, as my grandma used to say. I just wouldn't do that. And, and these are the type of people that I try to separate myself from. I have very strong boundaries. I don't talk to him on the phone if it is, it's very very dry, and it's to the point. It's no, laughing and catching up, or just talking about things that we're experiencing in life, like what's going on with us. We don't have those kind of conversations. It's strictly about my dad. That's it. Strictly about my dad. And that's it. We basically do more texting than we actually do having phone conversations, because I have learned that if I talk to him too long, it's a trigger for me, because I know an argument somewhere is brewing. He's going to say something, because he's very manipulative and slick at the mouth. But, I'm just as slick. So it always end up in an argument. And I've learned to preserve my peace, because it was like every time I would be on the phone with him and we'll have an argument. And, then that bothers me for a few days after the fact. So I just had to learn, like, I got to set this boundary. Like, I can't have conversations with him. I can't, talk to him too long, because I know eventually he going to say something slick. Then I'm going to say something slick. Then it's going to be a big argument. So I just had to learn how to just separate myself for my peace. And I can say, since doing that, it has been so much more easy for me to manage, because I can control how long I, speak to him on the phone. And I know when the time to get off. I know when it's time to just get off and separate myself, because I don't want to allow myself to go to that space. And that's something that I know, we all just need to work toward doing that. If we're dealing with, individuals who brings toxicity to us, we just got to learn how to set that boundary and be okay. And I've shared on several occasions that, my brother and I were best of friends. We had an amazing relationship when we were growing up. But it wasn't until, I lost my mom, we lost our mom, and then my dad had his stroke. That is when our relationship went south. It just went south, because I just didn't feel like he was doing as much as he should have been doing, or doing what he should have been doing. So that's why. Let me read some comments. I read that one. Girlfriend Chronicle say, do you then in turn feel guilty because you're doing better than them when they reach out to you for help and you say no? Absolutely. You do feel guilty, but then you had to understand, girl, it was to the point to where people would send me stuff and like, hey, can you get this for me? Or I don't have this. Can you get it for me? And I'm just sitting there like, it would be nice if you just call and say, hello, how you doing? Or, they don't even say, can they borrow anymore? Because they know they have no intent of giving it back. It's just, I just felt like, people were just constantly pulling, constantly taking. And it is not always necessarily considered, it's not always necessarily about a monetary value as well. It could be your time. It could be your energy. Like, people are like energy vampires. Not only are they constantly, pulling you for your money, they constantly pulling you for your time. I got to the point to where I couldn't even tell people that I was off work. During the week, if I'm off work, I won't even tell people anymore, because people would try to fill your day up. Well, since you off, can you take me to my doctor's appointment? Or can you drop this off for me? Or can you do this, that, or the third for me? I had to learn, like, well, I should have just went to work. It seems like I'm working anyway. If I'm doing all of this running around back and forth for, everybody else, and they're like, can you stop doing whatever you're doing and just do this? And I had to learn how to just start saying no and being okay with it. And because I have such a big heart and I love to help people, typically when people ask me for something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I could do it. And I could be in the middle of doing something for myself. I could be in the middle of just sitting there resting with my feet kicked up. If somebody would call and reach out to me, needing help with something, I would always just stop and do it. I would always just stop and do it and help. But I had to learn, eventually your body will shut down. If you're constantly doing and going and you constantly stressing. And then I had to sit and understand, like, I started getting headaches. just randomly getting headaches all the time. I'm like, why is my head hurting? And it was from stress. And then I had to remind myself, stress unalives. And all of my stress is coming from other people, not even things that I'm doing myself. It's the things that I'm doing for other people. So I had to learn, like, my health is far more better than all of these people who are constantly pulling for me. And I had to just learn to say no. And when I learned how to say no without feeling guilty about it, that was such a stress reliever. It was such a breath of fresh air. I was able to just, just breathe and just be. And it is the best thing that I could have done. I will say no in a heartbeat now and won't think anything about it. I will look at that phone and let it ring and will not answer it and let it go to voicemail. I pick and choose who I want to talk to. I will answer or not answer. I will do or not do. And I had to learn, and it has been so much better for me, so much better. But in the beginning, yes, I did feel guilty. But again, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. If I can get up and go to work and make things happen, everybody else can get up and go to work and make things happen. I get that things happen. I get that people go through things. We all go through things. But you can't be a person who is never one that's pouring into other people, but always expecting people to pour into you. There has to be some give and take. But the individuals that I was dealing with, were more so doing all of the pulling from and not pouring into. It's those type of people. Now, people that I know, if I need them, they will equally be there for me. I have no problem doing and being for them as well. But we have to choose wisely, and we have to learn how to see people for who they are. And unfortunately, these people are some of the closest people to you, and they're called family. And it's unfortunate. I have friends that feel more like family to me than some family members do, and that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Square Biz says the problem is other family members not understanding and wanting peace within the family. But what they don't realize is that sometimes you have to let go for peace of mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. You have to let go for your own peace of mind. Girlfriend Chronicle says, I was always told we were brought up in the same household and afforded the same opportunities, the same hours in the day. You get out of life what you put in. Yes. You get out what you put in. Absolutely. Teresa says they don't care. All they're thinking about is themselves. Selfish, and I can't stand it. Absolutely. They only think about themselves. And the thing about it is, when they're up, you don't hear nothing from them. You don't hear from them. You don't see them. They're not calling you. But the minute they're down and when they want and need something, they are blowing you up. Blowing you up. Cece says, I hate when people place expectations of using my time, money and resources without question. I totally agree. It's always like, I remember I was, what was I doing? I was having I had a conversation with someone, and I was telling them that, once a month, one of the luxuries that I allow myself is I have a house cleaner that comes and deep cleans for me once per month. And to me, that is a luxury. That is not a necessity. But because I'm super busy with my businesses, I always do that for myself once per month. That's the one thing that I will withhold other areas just so that I can make sure that I do that for myself. And I remember having a conversation with someone and telling them, well, actually the housekeeper was here while I was on the phone with them. And they was like, well, who is that? Because the housekeeper came in and was asking if she could come in and do my office because she was done with upstairs. And I was like, yeah, you can come in and do it. And they were like, well, who is that? I said, well, that's my housekeeper. And they was like, house cleaner? And they're like, oh, so you bougie. You got a housekeeper? I say, first of all, it's not like that. I was super, super busy. And y'all know I'm OCD anyway. And typically I'm the type of person who wouldn't allow, I was just having this conversation with sis the other day. I wouldn't allow a person to come in and just clean my house because I'm the type of person that'll go behind you and redo it. But when I say she's amazing, she is absolutely amazing. When I say that lady be deep cleaning, listen, she's amazing. But that is a luxury that I gift myself. That is a gift for myself. And, and I had to learn, like, I'm not going to let people guilt me into, feeling bad about doing nice things for myself. Because, see, people want you to keep your money and your resources free. So when they need it, you got it. They don't want to hear you say, well, I don't have it. Because then when you say, oh, I had to pay the house cleaner. Well, you didn't have to do a house cleaner. You could have cleaned your house yourself and you could have had that money. See, people be offended with how you choose to spend your money, but they don't have any offense to it when they're calling and it's available for them. So I had to just learn that, you don't get to tell me how to spend my money. I spend my money that I work for the way I want to spend it. Teresa says, especially since he is able to work. Absolutely. Hey, Miss Wynn. How are you, sis? Thanks for joining. Hey, Mama V. Hey, Kathy. Hey, April. Thanks for joining, you all. I appreciate you all for coming in. Please make sure you hit the like button for me. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Lisa. Thank you for being here. Teresa says they start taking advantage of you. Yes, they start taking advantage of you, and it's horrible. Square Biz says to Girlfriend Chronicles, my friend is going through the feelings of guilt as her brother was so horrible to her and she had to kick him out of her home. He reached out and she refused and he just passed away. Oh, that's so. But you know what? She shouldn't be guilty because, and that's the thing, life happens. Life happens to all of us. And, and sometimes we have to be okay with saying no. We have to be okay with, setting those boundaries. I have a girlfriend that's going through the same thing with her son. She's like, okay, he got to get out. You in your 30s and you're not trying to do anything to better your situation because he's comfortable just constantly in and out of her house when he gets ready. But sometimes you have to show that self-love, that you have to show that hard love and just like, I love you, but I'm gonna have to love you from a distance because at this point, I choose peace. I choose peace and I choose me. You have to be selfish with yourself. There's absolutely nothing with being selfish with yourself, your time, and your resources. Teresa says, folks have started to plan my off day. I stopped letting them know my schedule. Girl, that was the best thing ever. I stopped telling them when I was off. I didn't let anybody know that I was off. I just, I had to because I felt like, it defeated the purpose of me even having an off day if I'm doing more for other people than I'm actually doing for myself. I could have just wanted to have a self-care day and, just go shopping for myself or even just sit in the house with my feet kicked up. I didn't even have to have anything specific planned. It's just an off day that I could just detach and just unwind. So I learned to just stop telling people. I had to, because either they want to take the day off with you so they can fill your schedule. I don't even tell my husband when I'm taking off. I don't even tell him when I have an off day. But my husband works second shift anyway, so I get that good space of me time anyways. But I don't even tell him when I'm taking off because sometimes I just want my space. I just want my me time. Teresa says, it's true. I have friends who are closer to me than family, and they will be there for me just as I will for them. Absolutely. Absolutely. But isn't that so unfortunate though? Because we, like I say, we have been so conditioned to, have this mentality of, family over everything. Blood is thicker than water. And, you always ride for your family through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, and it's so unfortunate that even with us being conditioned to think that way, we still have family, we still have friends that have now turned into family that will be there for us before our actually blood family members would. And that's so unfortunate. So unfortunate. Girlfriend says that is the worst, and don't call and ask them for anything back. They give you with all kinds of excuses. Absolutely. They'll give you all kinds of excuses. And the thing about it is, what I've found and what I've realized, the people that were constantly pulling for me are people that I couldn't even reach out and ask for a Sunday dinner. I couldn't reach out and ask for nothing. They are never available. They don't ever have. And if you're constantly pulling for me, I already know I can't get anything from you anyway. So why is it that I'm constantly, it's basically like you trying to use me to support your lifestyle. Because what you need to do, and I tell people quick, now I can't offer you nothing but advice. I can tell you how to better manage your money so that you won't keep running into these same situations to where, you need help with your electric bill, you need help with your rent, or this or this, that, or the third happened, and you know what, you need to learn how to better save money for a rainy day. You need to put money aside instead of wanting to do whatever it is that you're doing with, so that you'll have money saved up for a rainy day, so you wouldn't have to ask. And I guess I'm different because I'm the type of person who, I don't even like asking people for stuff. I've never been a person that liked to ask people for stuff. Either I can get it and save it on my own, or I'll find ways to get it for myself without, because for one, I don't like a person ever being able to tell me that I wouldn't have had or wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for them. I don't ever tell me like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have had this. Like, that is oh my gosh, that is a pet peeve of mine. Don't ever tell me that. So I always try to make myself or put myself in a position to where, I always have something to fall back on. And I had to do that. And I was able to do that by starting to set those boundaries and saying no. Because if I constantly give it to everybody else, I'm just sitting here like, if I'm constantly giving you the free money that I do have, then that means I can't do nothing for myself but get up and go to work just so that I can, people really think that you have money on reserve just in case they decide they want money. If you tell them you going on a vacation, or you taking a trip, or you bought something for yourself, I would never forget when I got my new car. People were saying, oh, that money you spent on that car, you could have gave it to me, or you could have helped me. And I was like, well, then I wouldn't have been able to get me a new car, right? Like, make it make sense. I just don't understand the way that we think. And that's why I say toxic family drama, toxic family members. You have to, in order to just keep the peace, just for your own sanity, you have to separate yourself. You have to be okay with setting those boundaries. Teresa says, I spend my money how I want to spend it. It's mine. Absolutely. Hey, Terry, thanks for joining. We appreciate you for being here. Sis said to Square Biz, hopefully she's at peace. Sometimes when you're young, to the lengths of cutting folks off, you even think of that day. Prayers going out to her. Prayers, prayers, prayers. Yes, prayers to her, Square Biz. Teresa says, it's so sad. And these are the reasons I'm grateful that the military always kept us away from family. They get jealous and start calling you bougie. They even jealous of my boys and grandchildren. Absolutely. And what's considered bougie? Just because you know how to manage well, that's not considered bougie. That just means I know how to manage well. Sis says there was a typo. I figure, honey. I figure, sis. That's okay. That's okay. So question to those of you in the chat. Have you ever had to distance yourself from a toxic family member? If so, put a 1 in the chat. Have you ever had to distance yourself from a toxic family member? Put a 1 in the chat if you have. Put a 1 in the chat if you have. Girlfriend Chronicles, put a 1. CC says Teresa put a lot of 1s. Sis put Teresa, you done had to cut a lot of folks off. I'm not mad at you, sis. And it goes beyond, just family as well. I've had to cut some friends off as well, but family, yes. Follow Me Black TV says 1, the messy one. Yes, you have to. We have to. So with those family members that you had, the toxic family member that you had to cut off, at this point, currently where you are, do you feel that there could be some sort of resolve? Did you just cut them off like cold turkey, or did you cut them off, set a boundary, and you feel like you could work your way back towards a resolve? Or is it just a one and done? They cut off and you just don't mess with them like that no more. Lisa always also said a one. Teresa said on both sides, my husband's is the worst. Is it? Girl, you know, those in-laws be something. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I don't have toxic in-laws. I'm so grateful that I don't have bad in-laws. Sis says, absolutely. My sister drained me personally over 4 decades, and other family members darn near 6 decades. No, ma'am, to nobody. I'm done. All right, sis. Teresa says they're still the same way they were 10 to 15 years ago. I don't miss them. I get it. You know what? And it's like that for me as well. I don't miss it either. At first, when I first had to just separate myself from my brother. See, I just can't do the gaslighting, and I just can't do the, you know how when you have those toxic family members and they sit there and try to talk to you like you think you crazy, like I didn't just witness you say or do what I know you did, like try to make it seem like you're the delusional one. Like those kind of people like really grinds my gears. So that I didn't miss at all. Follow Me Black TV says she went cold turkey. Girlfriend Chronicle says I'm cordial on Facebook, but since I know they still talk ish about me, I love from a distance. Okay. Lisa says set boundaries, and if they are crossed, we're done. I know that's right. I know that's right. Square Beard says, I'm happy I jumped into this live today. I didn't know what to tell my friend regarding her brother who passed away last week, but I got a lot of info from here, and hopefully I can now comfort her. Absolutely. I'm glad too, sis. I'm glad you were able to join us. And here's the thing. We all go through stuff. We all go through stuff. We all have those difficult family members that, you know, we have to learn how to maneuver with a little bit different. And a lot of times, you know, it's just human nature if we are, you know, feeling guilty about having to set a boundary and cut an individual off. You know, none of us are promised to be here tomorrow. We don't know the day nor the hour, but that still does not give us the, you know, that still does not give us the okay to treat people wrong and think that they still should just continue to take it and take it and take it. It's not her fault whatsoever that, you know, her brother unfortunately passed away. There was just God's timing. And she shouldn't feel guilty about, you know, having to cut him off because, you know, that's the inevitable. We're all at some point going to have to take that path. And we shouldn't be guilted into thinking, well, you know, well, what if something happens? Well, what if something, if that's the case, you're opening the floodgates for people to continue to misuse and mistreat you. And, you know, we shouldn't have to live like that. All we can do is pray about it, put it in God's hand, wish them the best. Like we don't wish them any harm. We wish them the best, but I just can't deal with you on that level. And that's called loving you from a distance. I love you from a distance. I still pray for my brother. I still wish him well. I still pray and ask God to touch, cover, and to keep him safe. I do all of that stuff. I don't wish any ill will on him, but I just can't deal with him just a certain amount of space. I only can give him a certain amount of space, but that does not mean that that I hate him and I want bad things to happen to him. I don't do that. And I just had to learn to be okay, you know, with that. And, you know, and just and share that with her and just tell her, you know, she had to do what she had to do for herself, because sometimes these situations can be so stressful. People will continue to just pile and pile and pile upon you. And like we said, stress unalives. I'm not going to let you stress me. I'm not going to let you stress me out. about your problems. Those are your problems, and they don't care about what type of situations or what problems you may have, or what type of issues that you may be dealing with, because you know what, they don't ever stop and take the opportunity to even ask you, like, are you okay? Like, can I do anything for you? It's always a take, 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 take. And then when you're empty, and then you don't have anything else to pour or anything else to give, and then they mad at you. How dare you get sick to where you couldn't go to work and have money to give it to me when you knew I was going to need something, or you knew I was going to need you to help me with something. Like, how dare you? Why won't you co-sign for me to get this car? Why should I? So you just have to learn how to understand it. So I felt like when we was listening to that clip that Toya was just saying in regards to like her brothers and how she just decided to just cut them off. Like, she blocked them. She got them blocked. Like, she don't even have any contact with them. And, and I felt that resonated with me, because, and especially the part to where she said, I'm just focusing on my own family. And I felt that I'm focusing on my husband and my children and my daddy. That's it. Anything else outside of that realm, I wish you well. You're not my responsibility, because enough is enough. And if we just continue to let them pull and pull and pull, when we run out of gas, who's gassing us up? Who's gassing us up? And then, and my husband could even see like how stressful I would be, like how stressed I would be, like after talking to my brother. It was always an argument, because I would talk to him about it, and and I'm like, well, honey, can you believe he said this and he did this? And and I'm constantly talking to him about it, and I'm sitting there like, I don't have to do this anymore. I can hang up when I want to hang up. I can choose to not answer the phone. I can choose to not be around. I remember my when I went back home to visit my dad, my last visit there, I didn't even see my brother, and he was right in the same city. I did not see him. I did not call him. When I was there, of course, my dad was trying to get me to call. Well, did you talk to your brother? Did you let him know you was here? I said, no, I came to see you. I said, that's your son. I came to see you and make sure you are okay. But, of course, being a parent, my dad is always going to try to, make sure we come together, because we are siblings. But like I say, he can do no wrong in my dad's eyes. He's not going to see what you're saying, because, that's his son. It's going to always be, the other person, or what you could have done better to try to mitigate the situation. And, and I just cut it all off. Like, I'm not doing it. Teresa said, I had to get my oldest son straight. He's good now, working a good job and married with children. But before he matured, we had all kinds of knockdown dragouts. He's good now. Well, that's good, Teresa. Hey, Tyra. Thanks for joining. How you doing? So, yeah, you just have to learn how to set that boundary and just learn how to free yourself. Yes, sis, I'm getting ready to drop it now. I'm going to drop the link if anybody would like to come up and share a similar situation that you've had. Please feel free to come up and share what you experienced in regards to having to cut off a toxic family member. If you were able to rekindle the relationship, or, where you stand now. Was it a hard cutoff, or, did you set the boundary for a while and you were able to come back up, meet again on common grounds, and work through the situation? I would love to hear your story, and, share with us. Because Square Biz says she was able to take some stuff back to her friend. Hey, sis.
Hold on, sir. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What you eat?
Child, my homemade Chick-fil-A from earlier.
Ooh, that sounds
Chick-fil-A
good.
salad. Let me swallow. I don't want to be rude. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Hey, Reen. Thanks for joining, sis. Appreciate you for being here.
Okay, sis, you there?
I'm here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining.
You are welcome. Excellent topic. And you know what? As I was listening, I missed part of it. when I went into the store. But as I was listening, I think it is so sad that those of us that have made the decision to cut people off, especially family, because for me, I've always been a communicator. You know what I'm saying? Um, with my sister, as you guys know, a lot of you, it's been decades, and I don't feel good about the decision that I had to make, but I feel good about the peace. So now, even when I hear stories, just heard one over the weekend that happened last week, it's like I'm an outsider, and I used to be heavily involved in all conversations. And life is just too short. Even with Square Biz, what I was trying to say is, with her friend that had to make that decision, a lot of times when you're placed in a position like that, like you said, sis, we pray for our family members and wish them well and pray for their safety, all of the above. But I think that what comes with that is you also pray that in the event something happens to them before you've made peace with that as well.
Yes.
And that's what had me a little sad just listening, because honestly, I've been there. You know what I mean? When you've been involved with a family member that has played a very big role in the stress of your parents, it hit differently when you've lost both of them. So that played a major part in me cutting her off. And it's not just me, it's a couple other family members as well. Now we sit back and watch her kids. It's time for you guys to step up to the plate. But it's really, really sad, as with you and your dad wanting you to talk to your brother and all of that. That's how I was raised. And I think that my parents went above and beyond to make sure that that family unit was held together. And the only one that was pulling it apart was her. So for me, it is absolutely no more. I don't inquire. I don't go to her Facebook page. I heard girlfriend say she's still going to pages of people that that are talking about you. Why? Why? Don't even internalize that, with anybody else that's on the brink of a cutoff. For me, it's either you communicate your feelings to the person or you completely move on. That's where I'm at. Even when it comes to friends, I don't do that. I just don't. It's not worth it to continue on, because that's a form of gaslighting, or that's a form of passive aggressiveness and all of that. Free yourself. I said that about Toya, and I'm gonna shut up. But I'm so happy to hear you just say, because I must have missed that part of Toya saying that, yeah, now it's just me time, me and my family time. My daddy used to always say, when there's two people arguing, it's a different turn. When people see two fools arguing, they don't know who the fools are. And I think Toya caught a lot of slack, because a lot of people, I was one of them, because I know what it looks like. You are toxic if you're going back and forth. And I don't think that was fair to her. Hear that basically she's done. Sometimes you have to come to that conclusion.
And it seems like too, and great points too, sis. And it seems like, especially with her situation, they had more venom for her than they had for their actual mom. Because their mom, the two brothers were unalived because they approached a guy that basically their mom got some substance from these guys. So the brothers, he said something because she didn't give him the money. So the brothers approached the guy and he unalived them. So her current brothers, they were holding her accountable because, again, they were in prison when the two brothers were unalived. But they feel like there's more that she should do to try to keep the family together. And she constantly gives and gives, and it's never enough. But what I've seen and what I've witnessed is, like, they hold her more accountable, like she the mama, but they don't even hold the mama accountable. Like, the mama is the reason why the majority of these issues, because again, it's childhood trauma, because she of course was on substance abuse when she was carrying them. So they basically are all crack babies, if I can say. But it's typical people who always want to, make things more your fault than holding the person
Mm-hmm.
accountable that should be. And that is so draining. And
Yeah.
it's mental, it's a lot of mental anguish that comes along with it, because of course I want to see all of my family members do well. You know, I want to see my siblings do well, but at whose expense though, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
just feels like, you know, how much can I continue to just give out? And then of course, if I'm doing all of this for, you know, the sake of family, I can't even be my best self and
That's
operate for
right.
my immediate family, which is my husband, and, you know, showing up for my kids and being what I
Mm-hmm.
need to be, you know, for them. So it's sort of like puts you in between a rock and a hard place, because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I love my immediate family, which is my husband and my kids, but I also love my, you know, my family,
Yeah.
but they're toxic.
Yeah.
So, you know, what do I do? Because I don't want my family issues to cause problems in my
To
house.
bleed over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I need to make a decision. It's not like I'm choosing, but at some point, you got to choose yourself and be okay with
Mm-hmm.
choosing yourself and not feeling guilty about choosing yourself. And we all have those moments to where when it's getting, because setting a boundary is hard. I don't know about you, but
Mm-hmm.
setting boundaries and sticking to them, it was a hard thing for me to do. And
Absolutely.
not being able to have that relationship with my brother was a hard thing for me to do. And even my friend that I had to cut off and just separate from, it was hard
Mm-hmm.
having to set that boundary. Of course, because we love hard. We love the people that are in our lives. We love our family members. We want the best for everybody. But like I was saying, at whose expense? So, of course,
Mm-hmm.
we always have those moments to where, and especially me, I'm like a very advanced thinker. I think hard about situations. That's why I'm very careful of what I say to people and how I say it to people, because I never want, you know, something I say be the last thing that I say to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I try to be careful. So I struggled with having to even cut my brother off, because, you know, and I had to pray, and I was like, Lord, I don't wish anything bad on him. I constantly pray, like, Lord, protect him and keep him safe, you know, whatever it is that he's going
Mm-hmm.
through, or meet the need, or whatever the case. So I constantly still pray for him, don't wish bad on him, but I
Right.
still had to separate myself from him. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, we just got to pray that God can give us peace within
That's right.
ourselves if something were to happen in the midst of us not having
Yeah.
that relationship like we used to have, like, so that we don't have to live with that eternal guilt of,
Mm-hmm.
well, I should
Mm-hmm.
have, you know, I never should have cut him off, or I should have worked harder to try to mend the relationship. You know what? Mending relationships is a two-way street. It
That's right.
all parties involved. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
it by myself. If
That's
you're not
right.
willing to meet me halfway, I can't just continue to allow you to keep trampling over me, and me to just keep, you know, being beat down for the sake of everybody looking at me as, well, you the strong one anyway. You know, you can take it. You can handle it. You know, how about we address these toxic individuals and call them out on their BS, and, you know, and tell them to stop behaving like they're behaving, instead of just telling me, you know, those of us that are the quote unquote strong ones, how to just better keep taking it.
Yeah. I agree, sis. Look, first of all, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
This year, and I don't have to repeat some of the things that has gone on was so tricky for me. And some of the people um that I counted on the most, like, sort of failed me in a sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through things like that, of knowing how, for instance, you would react in a situation if someone lost a loved one or a friend or whatever the case may be, that caused me to shift with a lot of people, even with the what I thought was, oh my God, over the top health issues and all of that, that thank God wasn't. So that's why I'm so big on self-care, self-love, because you can pour into people, you can wish them well, you can cheer them on, you can do all of that. And in the time of need, you like a second thought. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you just cannot continue to do that. And I think that for me, I wish this is something that I would have been able to learn earlier in life. I wish it was something that I would have been able to put down my foot when it comes to my parents, and the things that they did up until the day that they passed. Same with you. My sister has kids, and you guys know two of them I raised. My mom took all of them at first, and they expected more out of us than her. Just what you just said when it comes to Toya and her brothers, when it comes to their mom. It's odd, for Christmas, I can go out. I remember one niece went out for Christmas, child, about everything. And real talk, this is not a lie. Her mom came over there with a bag of Flaming Hots. She went crazy over it. Crazy over it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't hold it, and you can't hold that against kids because they are yearning for that love. But it's tough. It really, really is. So I'm at the point where I never want to be perceived as cold. You know what I mean? But I am especially with going through the divorce and everything else, I'm at the top of my list. You know what I'm saying? And it's either I receive what I give or I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not into the string along game. If so, I would have strung the X along. I'm into black and white. Mel said this before. Black and white, no gray. That's where I'm at. No gray. Period.
I get it. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. And the sad part about it is, these same people that is constantly pulling from you and constantly just bringing toxicity to you, these family members, they'll go out, girl, and love on other people and act like you don't even exist with all of the things that you're doing for them. I've witnessed, my brother interact with other people, and he act like he love and care for them more than, the person that, every time you ask for something, you getting it from me, even though you're getting it from our dad, because my dad get it from me.
Yeah.
So you know what, and that just makes me feel a certain kind of way because, I feel like I'm helping to support you, because this is somebody that moved back into the house with my dad, but I'm helping my dad pay his bills. How you think that makes you feel? So, that bothered me. Lisa says, I had to block a brother, but I'm still good with his children and his wife. He was just too toxic all of our lives, on and off of substances since high school through adulthood. Finally, after using my credit, I was done. I know that's right. I was done when my brother stole my insurance money. That was a wrap for me. And I really had to pray to not hate him because.
And since you say he don't have any substance abuse issues, huh?
No.
Wow.
None whatsoever. None. He's just a womanizer, a user of women, a great manipulator, master manipulator, gaslighter, and a con artist. Anything that he can get from you to keep from having to pay, and will have money. That's the thing. He will have money, but he will use you for yours. Spend yours and keep his. He's just that type of person. And I feel like if you'll do that to your own parent, I know you don't care about me.
That's right.
So I had to cut it off. Mama V says, that's exactly what I had to do. I chose me. Yes, sis says self-care, self-love. Absolutely. Right. Mama V says, yes, chit chat. You can't pour from an empty cup. You sure cannot.
Oh,
you cannot. Teresa says, I have family members who do the same, will help somebody else before they help me. Thank God for blessing me with a good husband and good job so I wouldn't need them. Absolutely. Tyra says, Pink Diva, you hit the nail on the head. I'm going through this right now with my mom. Well, prayers up for you and your mom.
Prayers. For sure.
Prayers up for you and your mom. And it's unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that, we have to sit and even talk about this, especially when it comes to family. The family dynamic just isn't the same as it used to be. When the matriarchs of the family pass away, it's just it seems like families just start to dwindle down, and you just lose that family connection that you once had, and it's just no longer there. And then too, we grow up and we start seeing people for who they really are. A lot of times when we're younger, we can't really see people for who they are. But when we grow, we learn, we learn better and we do better, and you just have to separate yourself, and it's just easier. I say all the time, I thank God for my husband. I have an amazing husband that's always there. But I can also talk to him about stuff, and he's very level-headed, and I would just always vent to him about how disappointed I was in the things that my brother would not do for my dad that I felt like he should have been doing. And my husband had to look at me and he said, but honey, he's not you. You can't expect you out of him.
That's right.
So he's not going to do that. And that really resonated with me, because I'm sitting here like, there is no way in the world, if this is my only living parent, knowing what we went through when we lost our mama, there's no way I would not be at my daddy's beck and call for every single thing he needed. And he was like, honey, but he's not you. He said, you're just a natural caring person. There's no way I would be right in the same city with my dad and he wouldn't see me every day.
Absolutely not.
There's
elder needs your help,
Right.
How could you?
There's no way. I should have to pay for a personal care worker to take him back and forth to his doctor's appointments and all of this stuff, when I have a sibling that lives right there in the same city. So a lot of my dislike or disdain for him comes from his lack of what I know he should be doing for our dad. So that's why it was so easy for me to cut it off. I was just
how long has it been, sis, with you and your brother with cutting them off like that?
My dad had his stroke in 2012, so it's been since 2012, and it's just like now when we talk, it's like strangers. It used to be we would pick up the phone and he'll call me, because he used to call me Bae. He'd be like, Bae, you remember when mama used to say this and this? And we just laugh and talk. It used to be those. Now it's like when he called, my anxiety goes up. Because for one, I think, okay, is something wrong with dad? That's how odd it feels when he calls, because it's not like it used to be. So to see his number come up on my caller ID, my anxiety immediately goes up, because I'm like, okay, did something happen with my dad? Because why is he calling versus him calling because it's my brother?
Just to say,
right.
Just to say, hey.
Yeah.
And he's your younger brother or older?
No, he's my older brother. I'm
brother.
the baby.
Wow.
So it's been that long. And it's just been, like I say, it was the whole situation that had transpired with the insurance money when our mom passed away. And then when my dad lost it, it was just like stuff just kept adding to the point to where I finally saw that, okay, he's not a good person, and he's not somebody that, be it he's my blood brother or not, this is just somebody I got to cut off.
And I'm so glad you just said that, not a good person. Because as you were saying earlier, and it's just our saying, Black saying anyway, blood is thicker than water. And like you said, family over everything. Sometimes family members could just not be good people. And just because you were born with the same parents or you're related, period, that don't mean that you stuck with that for life. You know what I mean? So as with you, I have really, and I love my sister. One of the coolest people ever. But unfortunately, with the substance abuse, for over, like I said, some of my family members been going through this with her since she was a baby, damn near 6 decades. But maybe that's a little exaggeration, 5.5 for sure. Because in her teenage years, she started and really never stopped. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you get to the point where you have to stop overlooking their actions and just come to peace with that saying of what you just said. They're just not good people, and I don't want that. I'm midlife, so this second half of my life, it has to be all good by any means necessary.
I get that. And Teresa says, Pink Table Topics, that's so strange that he doesn't have any issues. He's just a spoiled brat. And Teresa, and that's the thing, when sis asked me, like, I can't even equate that to him being in the military. My brother was in the military, Marines to be exact. But this was even prior. He's been a spoil. When I say spoil, because he was the only boy, he's always gotten his way. He always whined to get his way, and my parents would get him anything he wanted. He's always been that like that. So I can't even equate that being to him having any issues, because that's
He
who
exhibits some of those behaviors, though. You think that it could possibly be, and you don't know, because it, especially with the cutoff of dad and not being there, those are the traits of a lot of people that use,
He goes now. He'll go, but my dad would have to pay him to do things. That's the type of thing. If he takes my dad to the store or something, he would have to give him gas money. If he takes him to do anything, he's charging. Or he may not have groceries. He'll go to my dad's house and go through his freezer and get like stuff. Like he uses him for stuff. Let's say, for instance, one time he had bought some four-wheelers, some ATVs, but they were stolen ATVs. Don't you know he sold those ATVs to my dad? And my dad had no idea that they were stolen. But usually when you steal an ATV, there's a key that you have to break to steal it. So one of them needs to be repaired. My dad took it to the repair shop. They realized that the key was broken, so they knew that it was a stolen vehicle. So they called the police and reported that they had one, and it happened to be one of those that were missing. But because my dad is so well known in the city, they knew he didn't steal it. But my brother had stolen it and sold it to my dad. And here's the thing, my brother and my dad have the same name. So he's done a lot of dirt under the name, and he gets away with it because they know my dad, he's just well known in the city, and he would never do anything like that. So my dad has had to cover up a lot of that kind of crap for him. So he does that kind of stuff. That kind of stupid stuff. Now he and me and his kids his boys, we have a great relationship. And those are the same boys that I was telling you, they had cut him off. I remember that. So he faulted me because I talked to the boys all the time. He blamed me because I didn't try to mediate them mending their relationship. So he wanted me to force them to reach out and contact him so that they could talk, or whatever the case may be. So we went through that whole battle because he blamed me because I wouldn't force them to talk to him. So when I say it's toxic and that I'm like, I have nothing to do with your relationship with your sons. Obviously, it's something that, you need to reach out, but he's one of those, I'm the dad, they don't tell me, like one of those kind, and wouldn't hear him out. So they kind of just blocked him and just don't deal with him anymore. But he's just that type of person. He's been that spoiled brat, and he's just not a good person. Like I say, he has no reason to be like he is because our parents gave us everything we needed and the majority of everything we wanted. He's just not a good person. That's just all I can say is he's just one of them, just ain't ish. Just one of them.
I get it. Look, imagine a parent buying you a house right around the corner from them. And my dad bought my sister a house. Well, he bought the house and let her, move in the house. And naturally, that's where she was going to be. We would wake up and see a post on Facebook. She talking about, and everybody spoiled. Same as with you. We never wanted for anything. But when she would get in her little ranting moods, which is almost every other day, she would actually call our dad the landlord. Ain't paying a lick of rent. What do you mean the landlord? It was so disrespectful to me, because everybody knew. She tells so much of her business. Everybody knows everything that's going on 24/7 still today. So imagine that. And you still don't have the best interest for your parents at heart. Things that they didn't, and that was the second home, things that they didn't have to do. So, like you said, when you sit back and realize, hey, you are able to treat our parents like this, or our parent, your remaining parent, absolutely not. you really just setting yourself up for more headaches and heartbreaks, you know. And I hate to, again, because I struggled with this at one point, like, damn, am I that cold when it comes to her? And it has nothing to do with being cold. Again, it just has to do with enough is enough. I refuse. I refuse. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Girlfriend Chronicle says, how do you treat children who were raised by toxic parents? I have a selfish niece and nephew, but they got it honestly from their mother. Their entitled and selfish behavior is disgraceful. I treat them like I do the parents. I'm not dealing with you. I'm just
Mhm.
not dealing with you. I don't do disrespectful kids, period, anyways. But I just wouldn't deal with them. I love them from a distance, just like I would do their parents. That's it. That's all.
Mhm.
I just wouldn't deal with them.
Yeah.
I just let them go. Let them go be great.
And if they're disrespecting and all of that, you know, aren't they, you said they're disrespecting you, Girlfriend Chronicles, which would lead me to believe that maybe they're teenagers and all of that. That's enough time for them to learn a valuable lesson. And is if you want to be in my life as well, all of that has to stop, you know.
Hmm.
They couldn't be young kids, but maybe they are. I don't know.
And you can't do over here what you do over there.
Exactly.
You can't do over here what you do over there. Period. Um, Tyra says she's been going through something for 57 years of her life. She'll be 58 in 25 more days. My brother and I caught hell after mom and dad divorced. My brother hasn't spoken to my mom in 8 years.
Hmm.
Sorry to hear that, Tyra. Sorry to hear
Mhm.
that. Teresa says, I'm sorry to hear that, Tyra. That's why you're so close to your girls. Continue to be a good mom and grandmother. So, although you suffered, you made it, and now you're a much different person. It's sad.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Teresa, Girlfriend Chronicle says, oh, heck no, I don't do disrespect. They just selfish with bad attitudes. Oh, they're 31 and 21.
Oh,
Oh,
they
child,
grown.
please. Oh, they grown. Oh, yeah, they acting just like their mama then. Leave them over there.
That's
And
right. Take
again,
that mess
you got
over
to love
there.
them from a distance. They can't, disrespect you and think that they can still come and be around you as well.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. I had a question I was gonna ask, sis. Let me find my question.
Mhm.
In regards to you having to basically set a boundary with your sister, how did you cope with the guilt or the pressure from your other family members regarding that? Or did your family, your other brother, your brother and other sister, did they um try to pressure you not to cut your other sister off? Like, how did you cope with that?
Child, don't make me laugh out loud. I'm the baby. I had to ask them, are you sure? When I say that we all have come to this conclusion, and naturally, you know, you can really feel like you're standing on business, you know, especially when our parents were still alive.
Hmm.
And for me, I really started to set the boundary when my father passed in 2016. But they're older than I am, which means they've experienced more hurt than
Mm.
I. So we've never had that talk. We all can relate. We all have experienced it. We all understand. And everybody at this point is choosing peace. So, you know, we all love her. I told you guys how my brother, he got probably the worst. And
Mm.
when she had that medical scare, he flew into Chicago. Which means, you know, you got to buy plane tickets and everything else. He made sure to go shopping for her and all of that. He was about to have a tenant move out of my mom's house and put her in that house. He was on the path of doing all of that after setting a boundary, being heard, put on blast on Facebook over straight lies, all of the above. And she followed her norm, which was once she started feeling a little better, even after him showing her how much he loved her, she went right back on Facebook talking about him for nothing, put money in her pocket and all of that. So you guys remember, I said, I'm not going. I'm not going. I told him, you call me when you get, I didn't even call the hospital. So it's hurtful, sis. But I've never had to have that conversation again with my siblings. But it is hurtful because you are talking about it's 4 of us left, 1/4 of, you know what I'm saying, the 4. And it does not feel good in a sense of knowing that you had to make this decision. But again, what more can you do? Because I can guarantee you, I can call her tonight. Look, girl, I love you. You know, we sisters. You know, mom and daddy would have wanted us to make sure that we keep this bond together. And the first thing she gonna do is cry. Ooh, I love you so much. Ooh, look, sis, I love you. And baby, by Monday, she'll be on Facebook. Yeah, let me tell you about my little sister. So once you continue to get burned in that way, it really is what it is. And again, I love her, but I just can't do it.
My sister is that way. My oldest sister, she'll always call me. I just talked to her yesterday, and her first question: have you talked to your brother? I say, no, I haven't talked to your brother. And she said, well, you know, that's your brother. And, you know, she as well is on the side with my dad trying to, you know, she's like, well, you know, we don't have mom. And, you know, we all we got. I say, and I get that. I said, but I just don't do your brother. I said, that's fine. You know, I just don't do your brother. I know we used to be super close, but my sister and I are super, super close. But she's the oldest one. My sister is 7 years older than me. But she tries to be the mediator. But the thing that bothers me with her and everybody else is like, they know how he is, but it's still like they want to talk me into overlooking it. And, you know, they already know I got my daddy's personality. I got my daddy's mouth. You ain't going to talk to me any kind of way. And you just not going to act any kind of way with me and think I'm just going to lay down and take it. I've never been that. And I ain't going to even be that with family. But they want me to just overlook it and act like, you know, again, well, you know how he is. Your brother been the same his whole life. I said, okay, but that doesn't excuse anything. You know, y'all keep sweeping it under the rug and y'all don't hold him accountable, just like the women that he had in his life. And that's why he feel like and he can do it to everybody. And that's why he struggled when it comes to me, because he can't. He's like, girl, your mouth always slick. You just because you can't just talk to me any kind of way. And we even tried. We had set an appointment to talk to each other. He said, we need to talk. I say, okay. I say, call me when you're ready. Because he sent me a text. He was like, call me when you get some time so we can talk. First, I thought it was weird that you telling me to call you. You call me. Call me. You call me I say, you call me when you're ready to talk. And it took probably about a month after that text that he called. And we had a conversation, and he said that he had been talking to a pastor and had shared with the pastor, you know, our relationship. And the pastor told him that we needed to have a conversation. He said, you know, and the pastor told me that I needed to forgive you. So I'm sitting there like, forgive me? Girl, I was like, forgive me?
Wait a minute, what?
Right. And I was like, for what you forgiving me for? And he say, so he just said we needed to talk and have a conversation. So I wanted to call and talk because I'm just really trying to understand, you know, where we went wrong, because our last conversation before this, we had gotten into an argument over my daddy cable bill. And because again, he has the same last name as my dad. And he had called the cable. Mind you, I pay the cable bill, but it's in my dad's name. My card is attached to it. I just paid. And so when he ended up having to move back in the home with my dad, he ended up calling and changing a bunch of stuff on the cable bill, which caused it to increase because he ordered the whole NFL Sunday ticket. And I'm sitting there like, this bill, and this is what I was saying, as soon as my dad let him move back in, stuff started to change. We had a plan. Everything was cohesively working. everybody was set in place, and now all of a sudden you come back and now things are changing.
Mhm.
And my dad was allowing these things to change,
Mhm.
but he was
Mhm.
telling my dad that he wasn't getting basically what he was paying for. He was paying for way more and getting less channels. So he had my dad calling me. He was like, I'm not getting all of my channels. I wasn't understanding what he was saying. I said, what do you mean?
Mhm.
I said, are the channels not showing or what? He was like, well, I'm not getting all my channels. I said, well, okay, well, let me call them because I'm trying to understand why you're not getting all your channels. But I was getting all of these emails over the weekend, like this update happened to the cable. This update
Right.
happened. What the
Right.
world? And I wasn't paying attention because I was busy. I was like, I'll look when I get a chance. And on Monday, I called them and I was like, why am I getting all of these emails about changes to the account? Like what could possibly be changing? And they was like, oh, well, you called and added NFL Sunday
Not
ticket.
you, Paul.
And
Child.
I was like, no. And I didn't authorize anybody. I had an account PIN number on this account specifically for that reason. So my brother could not make any changes to the account
Yeah,
because
he
my
did it.
card was attached to it. Girl, he called and they allowed him to talk without even verifying the PIN number.
Yeah.
He went and changed the PIN number on the account.
Mhm.
So when I called and I was sitting there, they was like, well, can I have the PIN number? And I gave it the PIN number. They was like, well, no, that's not the PIN number. I say, what do you mean that's not the PIN number? That's the only, girl, I have 2 PIN numbers and they're universal for everything.
Mhm.
It is
Mhm.
one or the other. And I said, no. I said, this is the PIN number. And they was like, well, no, it's not the PIN number. And I can't talk to you. You're going to have your dad call. I
Wow.
said, but y'all send me the emails for the bill. Y'all call me about the bill, but you can't talk to me. So I had to
Right.
call. I say, well, my dad is elderly. He's not going to understand what you're saying. I say, can I call him on 3-way? Because my dad had to give them permission to talk to me. So I had to call. And then they say, no, we can't allow you to call him. We have to call him without you being on the phone. So I had to call my dad. I say, DirecTV is getting ready to call you. They just need you to give me authorization to speak. And he said, well, why you can't speak? I said, I have no idea what's going on with this account, but I can't get in it. So they ended up calling him. And then they told him that he was giving the wrong passcode because my dad was like, I don't pay the bill. My daughter does. You got to call her. And girl, come to find out, my brother done called using my dad's name, changed the passcode on the account, and I had to put another passcode on there, letting them know that nobody is authorized. I say, listen, my brother has the same name as my dad. He can easily call and say that he's him.
Right.
My card is attached to this account for payment. And if you allow anybody to call and change this passcode without me, then I'm going to need you to take my card off this file.
Okay, and cancel the contract.
And cancel. And so that's what ended up having to happen. I had to cancel it because they wouldn't even let my dad couldn't even verify the account because of the changed passcode. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just not paying it. And they constantly sending emails and calls. I was like, until you can verify this account, you can stop calling me.
No, that's right.
So that's what happened. So my brother ended up, well, we need to talk. And we had a conversation. But immediately he went back to some stuff, girl, from years ago when we was kids. It was like, I remember you just always used to be in my relationships telling the women that they wouldn't talk to them. I was sitting there like, boy, when we were kids. But before that, which triggered the call, which is why I was telling you about the cable bill. When I talked to him, I was like, I know you did something to this account because we wasn't having problems until you moved in. I had everything set up. And so he was like, girl, I was just trying to tell you what you was paying for the cable did not equate to the. I said, why were you so invested in what I'm paying for? If I want to pay $500 and he get 2 channels, why was that your business?
Child, bro wanted the premium package. He wanted the Showtime and HBO.
Girl wanted to set himself up because he didn't have to pay for nothing. No rent, no nothing. Free cable. You wanted to
Mm-hmm.
get the NFL Sunday ticket. And so we ended up getting in an argument. And I said, that's why I don't F with you anyway. And I hung up the phone. And we stopped talking. And then he texted me. He was like, wow, what made you say that? So that's why he ended up, after months went by, and he texted. He was like, well, we need to talk. Because he was like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know you
Mm-hmm.
felt that way. But
Mm.
again, in the conversation, it went right back to him trying to flip the script. So we didn't get
Yeah.
anywhere. It ended into another argument. And that's when I decided, like, it's no reasoning with him. He ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna see it from your point of view anyway. His mind is already made up that he does no wrong. So I had to just cut it off because it was
Yeah.
always an argument. It
Oh,
was
they
all
gonna do that. They gonna try to make you feel like you on their level and you've done
Mhm.
them just as wrong. Again, we're talking about raising kids. I'm talking about proms and vehicles and shopping
Mm.
and running you to volleyball practice and basketball practice. I didn't believe in letting my nieces take no bus, period. So whatever needed to be done to get them where they needed to go, that was time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So look, I get it. They're real good at that, sis. When it comes to your sis, she just haven't gotten to her breaking point yet. And
Mhm.
I hate to say, I think my siblings and I, we all came to this conclusion. Me and my sister actually had a conversation when my dad passed. This is it. But my brother at the time, he may have probably already hadn't been talking to her. So I think we all got to the point around the same time, of being done. My brother
Mhm.
still to this day, even after him extending that olive branch and going there and getting hurt again. He just told me this over the weekend. Well, I still check on her Facebook. I'll look at some of her lives just to make sure I know what she into. He's a protector.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
although he's keeping his distance, and I think I'll be that way too, is just in us, thanks to my
Mhm.
dad. If something was to happen, we still coming. And I probably will go right back to not talking to her the next day. But child, it's tiring.
It's
It
very tiring.
Yes, and it takes years out of your life. That's why I said, when it comes to my mom, especially, she died from cancer. A lot of stress
Mhm.
contributes to cancer. And
Mhm.
imagine raising 5 of your daughter's kids.
Mm.
I was
Mhm.
her baby. I was
That
her
was a
baby.
lot.
And my
Right.
mom had, when I got of age and all of that, she was traveling, her and her girlfriends, and every year going to Cancun. And, I mean, just everywhere. That had to
Mhm.
stop when she had to she had to, because my sister, I had sent her to California. She wanted to get help and all of that and didn't do what she was supposed to do as far as treatment. And child, my mom had to fly to Cali to get 2 of the kids before they went into the system. We had no idea. They called my mom on, let's say it was a Tuesday. My daddy paid for her plane tickets and they were divorced Tuesday night. She was on a flight Wednesday morning for court.
Oh wow.
That's how last minute that was. So, yeah, I'm done. And again, I know you love your brother. I love mine. There is no, well, I don't want to say because everybody's situation is different, but a lot of times there is no coping. You're coping with it yourself, but it's not
Mhm.
something where you both can cope together after a certain point. The best thing, that they say when it comes to apologies is change behavior. Yeah, without change behavior, how can you move on? How can you put your guards down? For me, it's always going to be a yet. She cool now. Okay, tomorrow is Wednesday. She ain't putting nothing on Facebook. She ain't say this. She ain't do this. Thursday, we celebrating damn near. Child, by Monday, you know what I mean? It's back at it. So it's a yet. And I'm
Mhm.
just refusing to live with a yet, you know?
I get it. I totally agree. It's to the point to where my daughters don't even have a good relationship with them anymore. Very
Mm-hmm.
close with his boys. They have a cousins chat. They talk every day. They have a great relationship. And my girls, like, you couldn't, when they were younger, you couldn't tell them nothing about their uncle. They loved their uncle, but they don't, they're old enough to like see the behavior now, to where they don't even, my oldest daughter blocked him cold turkey, girl. He was texting me like, tell her to unblock me. I was like, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
That's right.
I don't got
my baby alone.
Right. I say I don't have nothing to do with that. And when they went last year to visit to Mississippi last year, they didn't even call him. And so he ended up calling them when they got back, was like, man, y'all came home and didn't even call me or try to get in touch with me. They was like, well, we weren't even talking to you before we came.
Yeah.
Why would we call you when we're there? But they did go, took my dad shopping and went and spent time with him. Of course, my dad was like, y'all gonna call your uncle. He just want people to just be at peace with his son so bad. And they was like, no, we ride with my mama. Like, whatever she on, we on. But I did, tell them, like, that's still your uncle at the end of the day. Like, our beef is not your beef. But you can't talk to them at a certain way when they get grown. Like, they grown. Like, you can't just still
they make their own decision. And they know what hurts them. And number one, their mom. Exactly. That's a different dynamic. You know what I'm saying? But do you think, sis, because when it comes to my sister, I think she cared. Look, a lot of the tears are real, but she's so deep into what she's into that the very next day she can care less. But do you think people like this that cause this pain and just to keep it real, it's more than pain. This is trauma. And that's another reason why if you're experiencing something like this, you have to nip that in the bud. You know what I mean? Because that trauma could then spill out to your own family, your own kids. You know what I'm saying? But do you think that the parties that cause all of this, that they really ever sit down and think about what they've done and what they continue to do?
I think that, they have those moments to think about what they've done, but I just think the ego in them won't allow them to hold themselves accountable. Like, they don't want to portray themselves as somebody that made a mistake. Like, I was wrong. They'll never admit it. And I know that's my brother's issue. He'll never admit when he's wrong. You can say the sky is blue and he'll say it's red. That's just how much of an argument it is. And you can look at it and say, now, boy, this sky is blue. And he's just one of those type of people that won't own up to his situation. I think there is a lot of trauma. Like I think I mentioned to you, he was actually there with my mom when she passed away. She had a heart attack. And, and I think he deals with that. I think, that bothers him too. But still, his behavior won't allow me to have sympathy for him for that, if that makes sense. Because of the things that he's done or his actions, since won't allow me to feel sorry for him feeling that way because of who he is and the things that he continued to do. Because I feel like, if you are dealing with some sort of trauma, I know they say hurt people, but I'm not one of them you can hurt and just keep trampling on and thinking I'm going to constantly just be there for you because, I haven't seen any change behavior. But I can tell, like, when we do have those little conversations when he'll call and say, well, Dad told me to call you and say A, B, or C. And I can tell, like, he kind of lingers and want to have a conversation. And
if you'll say more.
He want me. I just be like, oh, okay, tell him I'll call him later. It's just never like it's to the point to where I don't feel anything like I used to. Like, oh, that's my brother. Like, oh, I got something to tell him. Like, that excitement isn't there anymore. And I had to learn how to be okay with that. And I'm okay with that. I had to learn how to be okay. But it's disheartening that, here we are, blood siblings with the same parents. And like, we ain't even cool like that. And you couldn't tell us nothing when we were growing up. Like, we grew up like twins. That's how close we were. But it's just not there anymore. And I don't think he I'll be surprised if he ever owned up to it. But unfortunately, it's like some of these situations to where when people are on their deathbed, that's when they'll call and want to say they forgive you, and I mean ask for forgiveness and tell
Yeah.
you I was wrong. Like, it's so
Yeah.
unfortunate that we do that.
It is. It is. You know, I used to tell my sister, don't you want mama to see you better? Don't you want, you know, and then mama end up passing. She's still the same. Same conversation. Don't you want daddy to see you better? You know, and I'm using better, but you know, clean and all
Mhm.
of that good stuff. And you know, I agree with you that your mom's death mm, absolutely affected him, and people like him, people like my sister, unfortunately they don't know how to work through those type of issues, you know. And it is unresolved issues where they end up hurting other people, you know what I mean. My
Mhm.
sister has gone through some things in life where I can say, yeah, I can see that that probably did affect her, but you don't hurt the people that love you. You don't hurt the people that's helping you. You don't, you know, you just don't do that. And it's still ongoing,
Mhm.
still ongoing. So I do have well, I may have just a big sigh of relief at times because everybody are looking at me, my other sister, my brother, like we are aliens or something, because they are so used to the family coming to the rescue, coming to, you know, okay, you guys need to do this next, do that, blah blah blah. We do not do it, and they're not used to this, so now that's a new normal for them. But like I said, you know, look, this girl has contributed to, in my opinion, and I had to pray real hard because I held big resentment and still do, the death of my parents, and I'm not having it for me. So that's y'all mom. Find a way to come together as siblings like we had to do and handle it, you know?
That's exactly what it is. It becomes the burden of the children,
That's right.
unfortunately, at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I've had my share, I've had
Mhm.
my time, but
Look, I'll never forget, sis. She was going off. This was years ago, probably about, it was before my father passed, because he said, I told you, you better not act up on that Facebook.
yeah, that's the
Baby,
Facebook.
the Facebook. But baby, she was on a rant about me for me just living my life, child. She on there with all these type of lies, baby. When I tell you I got down to her level and probably went a little lower right on Facebook. And I would, now this is after she had been on me for a good week. She had been on my
Mm,
daddy for a good year, six
mm.
months straight. Everybody looking on at this. But when I responded and let loose on her, my niece had the nerve to comment, y'all are family. Why
Ooh,
would you say this? Baby, were we family yesterday? And the day before, and the day before, and the day before. So they can have these high expectations on you and don't say
uh-huh.
anything to her. Baby, I let loose. Do you hear me?
Because they
Baby,
expected it out of her. They didn't
yeah, they
expect it out
expect
of
it.
you.
But no, don't do that. That means that, look, if you can comment when you see me, that means you could have been commenting when you see her every day.
And
Mama,
that
cut
means
this
you
out.
saw her and you didn't tell her to stop.
Didn't say nothing. My daddy said, you don't do that on
Get off
that
of that
Facebook.
Facebook.
That's not you. Daddy, look, you don't know what's me now, baby. So yeah, you know, I'm over it. And I feel so much better because even now, if she was to get on there and say something about me tomorrow, I would never know. I don't even go to her page. I already know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? I already know what it's going to give. And again, it's
Mhm.
a yet. If she ain't said it today, it could be tomorrow. Why set yourself up for that? You know what I mean? No.
That's very true. And my brother don't have Facebook. He ain't on the book.
Because
my
he a
daddy,
player. He
my
a
daddy
player.
called it the book.
Do
He
we
ain't
call
on
it
the
the book?
book. he ain't on the book. But
Child.
I still talk to people from back home that
Mhm,
he don't even know I talk to. Girl, I know everything about what he got going on and what he doing.
mhm,
But it just feels weird when people's like, "Oh, when you talk to your brother, I saw your brother Saturday,
mhm,
and he
mhm.
said he was getting ready to leave." Girl, still lying, telling him I
Yeah.
was just rolling my eyes, like, "Girl, that boy ain't getting ready."
Ooh, child.
Still lying. But just having people, and I know they probably can sense
Come
stuff.
back.
because I
Yeah.
don't, of course, I don't bash him.
Mhm,
But you know,
mhm,
they'll say, "Oh, I talked to your brother," or when you talk to your brother, tell him. I say, "Okay, well, I'll tell Dad to tell him." You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
I bet they was like, "Well, dang, she don't never give us nothing when we talking to
At
her about
all.
her brother. Like I give nothing."
Okay,
Um,
child, I don't know what to give because I ain't
right.
talking to her.
I don't know what to say because his best friend, one of his best friends, ended up calling me when he did get arrested that time. So his best friend messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "Hey sis, you got a minute?" It was like 10 p.m. And first of all,
Mm,
I'm sitting there like, "What you messaging me?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." He was like, "Can you call me?" And I said, "Okay." So I called him, and he was like, "Man," he was like, "Your brother." Just got arrested, and we trying to find out how we can get this money together to get him out. Girl, I
mm,
rolled my eyes so hard. I'm trying to like,
baby.
what you call me for?
Okay.
You know, I said, well, did you call the girlfriend that he was staying with at the time? I'm like, did you call her? He was like, well, I don't have her number. And I was like, I don't either. I don't talk to her. I know nothing about her. I don't talk to her. I say, well, reach out to her the same way you reached out to me on Facebook. I say, and hopefully she'll
Right.
respond. And I say, but just do me one favor. Don't call my daddy with this stuff. I say, I
Right.
don't want him to know anything about this because I don't need him getting upset and getting his pressure up,
Mhm.
worrying about that son of his and what he got going on. I say, but I don't have any money for you. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my
Right.
fight. And I didn't get it.
Mhm.
And I know he called me because they were trying to collect money. I ain't giving you a dime.
I know
He'll
that's
sit
right.
there.
They's probably thinking, yeah, we know we can call this little sister. She'll help.
Back in the
Um,
day, I would
you
have
would have,
because
yeah.
I remember when my brother lived in Chicago. My brother had gotten into some trouble in Chicago, and my parents didn't even know. Me and my sister hid it for a whole year. Hid him for a whole year. He was in jail at Cook County. Um,
Child.
yes, Cook County. He would call me, and I would put him on three-way with my mom and daddy, and they had no idea that this boy was in jail.
Wow.
So I would do that kind of stuff. We
Mhm.
rolled for each other back in the day.
Yeah.
But today, I'd be like, your son in jail.
Okay. How did he fare in the big city?
Girl, my brother lived in Chicago for years. As soon as he got out of Marines, he lived in Chicago.
Really?
hmm with my uncle. My uncle lives on Palina
You
over
told
on
me
South.
that 87th ish,
Yep,
right? That's
87.
right down the street from my daddy's house, sis. I think we talked about that.
Uh-huh. And my
Right
brother
down the
moved
street.
over there with him as soon as he got out of the Marines, and then he moved into a condo downtown for
Oh.
years. And he owned the mom. He moved back home. He went to visit my mom, and my mom
Mhm.
ended up passing away while he was there, and he ended up
Oh,
just staying.
yeah. Oh, and I remember you telling me he was there too.
Yeah.
When she passed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
child probably done seen your brother before. Like, get
Girl,
yourself together. You hurting my sis.
listen, he is a honey. He is a ladies' man. They
Play
love
don't
him.
have Facebook, honey. Players don't have
Yes.
Facebook.
And that's how he got caught up. The last little chick he was messing with posted some pictures of him
See?
being at her party, knowing she was being messy. And girl, I seen it because my uncle in Chicago called me. He was like, "Did you see your brother on Facebook?" I said, "He ain't got no Facebook." He said, "Well, he on Facebook."
She couldn't tag him though.
She
But his
couldn't
women
tag.
probably know each other's
But
pages
everybody
more too.
knows him.
Yeah.
Everybody know him. So they knew, and even his current girlfriend that he was living with at the time seen the
Mm,
pictures.
mm,
So it
mm,
was
mm,
a
mm.
whole big mess, girl. He one of them scandalous brothers.
Oh, child. Bro, the type we run from, child.
Girl, listen, he a red flag, walking red flag. And that's why he used to get so mad at me because I be telling the girls, don't do it.
Telling the truth. Yeah.
Don't do it like I'm trying to help you.
That is so
Tyra
funny.
says my brother and I are close. He asked me the question one time why our mama don't like us, and I didn't know how to answer him. Aw, sorry to hear that, Tyra.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Did you all talk about it after that point? Have you talked to your mom at all? Thank you, Teresa. Brittany said, I be telling folks to leave me alone because I'm petty. I don't want to be the
Say
bigger person.
that.
I'm little. Right,
That's
sis.
where I'm at in my life now, Brittany Janae. Zero tolerance. You hear me? I'll
I
head
got
on
nothing
now.
else to give.
That's
I
right.
don't have nothing else to give but prayer. That's it.
That's
Erica
it.
says if adult children would see it as an honor and not a burden to take care of ailing parents, they would
Mm,
feel so much happiness. Absolutely. I
mm,
totally agree.
mm,
There is absolutely nothing that I wouldn't do for my dad. I'm a daddy's girl, love him upside down. But I dislike how he allows his son to get away with the stuff that he
yeah.
allows him to get away with. That's my only issue when it comes to him. But as far as me
Mhm.
doing what I do for my dad, I wouldn't change it. Wouldn't
Yeah.
change anything. Wouldn't change anything.
And that's a different level of love, as you know, because you have kids, but he got that level of love for his boy. You know what I mean?
He
That
does.
parental love. So even as a sibling, because we used to really have those talks with my parents, like, what the heck? Why would you allow this? Why would you let this child, I mean, drag out fights? We have been
Mhm.
our family reunion stopped because of my
Mm,
sister. Because everyone every year ended up in fights. So much so that me and my older sister, you know, a lot of family Easter dinner or whatever, we going to our parents' home, we would stop
mhm,
going because they
mm.
would end up telling us anyway, just go, just go. You already know what she just go. So we got tired of going in order to prevent her from completely acting a fool. So it's sad.
It is sad. You just have
Mhm.
to, again, that's one of those boundaries that we have to set up. I ain't going just to save the peace. You just have to do what you have to do. Um, Sis was telling Erica, I wish I had mine to do just that. I would wait on them hand and foot.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I think that's why too I go extra hard
Yeah.
for my dad because once you've experienced the loss of a
Mhm.
parent, especially, it's just nothing that you wouldn't do, no links that you
Mhm.
wouldn't go through just to make sure your only living parent is well
Mhm.
taken care of. And that's the one thing that I would be at peace with,
Mhm.
knowing that
Mhm.
I did everything that I was supposed to do for my dad when I could. I
Yeah.
definitely, can be a rest easy in knowing
Mhm.
that I do everything that I'm supposed to do. Hey, Angela, thanks for joining, Diva. We on our way out, but thanks for joining. Tyra says, I love these conversations. I told y'all you're my faves. Oh, thanks,
Aw.
sis. Thanks, sis. Tyra says she's
Awesome
team
convo.
daddy's girl. Yes, to the daddy's girl.
Forever.
And that's the thing with when we're talking about the siblings and as being a parent with kids. I had to hold my oldest daughter accountable for things because in her younger years, she had to bump her head. But I
Mhm,
never felt,
mhm.
I always held her accountable. And I think
Yeah.
I used my situation with growing up and just seeing how
Mhm,
my dad and my mom kind of, like, I wouldn't say favored, but just
mhm,
allowed my brother to get away with so much with stuff that they
mhm,
wouldn't even allow me and my older sister to get away with. But because he was the boy and
mhm.
only boy, he was just able to play on their heartstrings and just get away with stuff.
Yeah.
But I always hold my girls accountable because I wasn't going to raise my kids like that. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? Like, you have to
mhm.
be a good person. But if you're not, you're going to be held accountable. You're not
Yeah.
going to just do any old thing just because you were spoiled. And my oldest daughter was super spoiled. She was the only grandbaby on both sides, very
Mhm,
spoiled because I had her when I was a teenager. So she grew up very spoiled with having
mhm,
everything
mhm.
handed to her. And I had to just break that cycle. I'm like, you want something, you got to work for it. You got to
That's
go to
right.
work. You got to make your own money. But if it was up to my daddy, he was like, they don't need to work. They just need to focus
Mhm.
on school. I said, well, where they going to get money
Homeschool.
from? Because they ain't get
Right.
mine. He's like, but if they need something, I'll give it to them. I said, but you're going to get older. And that's what I had to sit her down and tell her. Like, your grandparents are going to get older. They're not going to always be readily available for you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
constantly get stuff from. Then what are
Mhm,
you going to do?
mhm,
So
mhm.
I had to just show her, like, we ain't doing that. You ain't going to run my parents in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teresa says, I miss my mom and dad. My dad passed 1 week before I graduated high school. Oh, sis.
Oh, yeah.
Aw. Prayers to you. Prayers, prayers, prayers.
Sure.
Up to everybody, especially with us.
Mhm.
Mother's Day coming up. Prayers to
Mm,
all of us that
yes.
will be dealing with the loss of
Big
a
hug to
mom.
you in advance, sis. Big hug to you in advance. You know, we are part of that club.
Yes. Angela says, sorry I'm late, been busy today. That's okay, sis.
Oh,
We know
yeah.
how it is. We can't always make everything.
Mhm.
But the good thing is there is a replay. You can always catch the replay. Teresa says, no problem, Angela. Very good topic. Listen to the replay. Yes, listen to the replay. Tyra says, Teresa, your nephew is scared of the lightning. Oh, you got some thunder and lightning? Brittany Janae
Mm.
says she love it here. I love you being here too, sis.
Aw.
I love you being here, but thank you to everybody that joined.
Thank
We are
you,
2
sis.
hours in. Sis, do you have any final comments about our topic tonight?
Well, my final thoughts are I feel better than I did when I first clicked the link because, you know, it is a touchy conversation that we have quite often. But it just feels good to know that you're not the only one that has come to the conclusion of that cutoff, you know. But and I've been standing on that, but sometimes again, Mother's Day, I'm emotional every year this week, and maybe that was it because it is sad. Like you said, you know, these are our blood siblings, and we've had to come to this conclusion. But hearing your story, hearing or reading comments in the chat has made me just feel like, yeah, I'm still on the right path and I'm not alone. So excellent discussion tonight, sis.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for that. Erica says your father may feel that your brother needs him the most and feel guilty about it. You know what? That's an excellent comment because I have spoken with parents that have said that about children they feel need them the most. There are a lot of parents who feel that way and they feel guilty that the kid reacts the way that they react. So they give more time to that kid. But there was a very deep conversation, and maybe we should add this to our topics because it can also make the other kids feel like you giving more time to that kid. So that's a good topic because there was a very deep conversation that we have when you're showing, because you know the other kid on the outside looking in could feel that you love the other one more than them because you give so much attention to them.
Or you
Because
favor them. Why do you favor
right.
them more than me? Why do you do more for them more than me? And hey, I got my hand up. I work. I'm independent, but I could have used the house. You know what I mean? So, but
Because
you're
they
right.
feel like you the
They need
strong
them.
one. You got
Yep.
it. You the one that got it all together and you don't need it.
Yep.
But you know what? We be needing it sometimes more than them just because we do have it together. So that's a great topic. I'm gonna write that down on my
Write
list.
it down, sis, so we could talk about it.
We're gonna talk about
That's
that
an
one.
excellent point.
It is great point, Erica. There
And
was
you
a
know,
great
I think that she said that too, just from what you had to say, you know, about your dad, and I feel the same about my parents. Just never really vocalized it in that way, but yeah, I do think that a lot of parents may feel that they need me. You good? You went to school? Look at you. You're able to do this and that, and your life is fine. And they don't know half the time what challenges we may have been facing. That's an excellent point.
And then here we are sitting on the outside looking in, saying like we both had the same opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
We were both granted
which
the same
causes resentment. Yeah, which causes resentment.
The same household.
Yes, and the things that you gave him, you gave me. The schooling that I had that you paid for, you paid for his or hers. So yeah, why? So I can't wait until you do it. I'm ready.
Great. We're gonna definitely add that to the topic. But thank you, sis, for your final remarks. And thank you for being my co-host for tonight. I appreciate you.
Welcome. I'm gonna drop down.
Okay, thanks, sis. And again, like happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. loves, hugs, and kisses to all of you that this week may be a little bit hard for, because, you know, we don't have our moms here, but this is what we are here for, to pull strength from each other. Your sisters are here. Do something nice for yourself this week, or allow your kids to do something nice for you. Keep your spirits up. Think on the happy moments and the beautiful memories that you shared together with your mom. It's always a bittersweet week for me as well. Like sis was saying, I try to make sure I stay busy for one, but I also try to make sure I keep my mind clear and just allow my girls to do for me what they want to do for me, because it's Mother's Day, and I allow them to, you know, to love on me, and I take that in, and, you know, and just try to be as present as possible, and kind of try to think on the good memories that I had with my mom. But I know how it is. It's just, you know, it's human nature, especially when, you know, we miss our moms. We don't have our loved ones here with us. So definitely praying for each and every one of you this week leading up to Mother's Day. Girlfriend Chronicle says, love this well-needed topic during Mental Health Month. Thanks, sis. Yes. Thanks, Teresa. Sis says, amazing topic and discussion. Thank you, Divas, for pulling up to the table. Please make sure to share the video with your friends and family. We hope that you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks, sis. We really appreciate it. Yes, Teresa. Yes, we are here for each other. Absolutely. Prayers to everyone. Teresa says, my son brought me home a Louis. He couldn't wait till Sunday. He gave it to me. Aw, look at that. My baby girl is taking me to the spa on Friday. So we have a spa date to go get us some pedicures and stuff on Friday. And I am looking forward to it. But thank you all. Thank you to each and every one of you all that pulled up to the table tonight. I appreciate you joining in and engaging in the topic. It was a great topic and a much needed topic. I feel like we covered some gems that we can all pull from each other and be able to take back and apply to our situation. And then to just see that we're not on this journey alone, that we are all going through something. And dealing with something when it comes to, you know, toxic family members. So this was definitely a great topic, and I appreciate you all for engaging in it with me. Hey, Sharon. Sharon says, happy Mother's Day. She'll catch the replay. Thank you so much for catching the replay. Appreciate you. We love you too, Brittany. Thank you, Mama V. Mama V says, great topic. Next week, Tuesday, though, y'all, make sure y'all come back next week, Tuesday. We're going to have a light topic next week Tuesday. We're gonna have a girls' night, so y'all put your pajamas on and get you a little something to drink. I know it'll be Tuesday, but we're going to have a fun topic next week. We're gonna have a girls' night. I have a girls' night game that we're gonna play, so we're gonna have a fun day. We're gonna play a game, a girls' night game, and we just gonna have a good time. We're gonna laugh. Like I say, coming from Mother's Day, and those of us who have lost our moms, you know, we want to be able to laugh and make it a little bit light. So we're going to have a light girls' night time so we can laugh and talk. This game is absolutely amazing. I'm going to be reading the question. I'm going to have y'all answering it in the chat. So we're going to have a good time. So we're going to have a fun girls' night next Tuesday. So make sure you all tune in next week, Tuesday, 6:30 Central Standard Time, right here on Pink Table Topics. So we're gonna have a girls' night. I don't know yet if I'm doing Spilling the Tea Business Edition Friday. It just depends. My manager is off work, and for whatever reason, they've been putting meetings on this calendar every morning at 9 o'clock. That's been bleeding into my 10 o'clock morning segment. So I will let you all know if I'm able to do Friday morning or not. But definitely make sure you are here next week, Tuesday, for a fun girls' night. We're going to have an amazing time. Amazing. Lisa says, it's funny how the problematic ones always get the most attention and support. It really is, Lisa. And it's so disheartening. It's so sad that the problematic ones always get the most attention. But we're going to talk about that. I put that on my topic board. So I'm going to have that on one of our topics. It won't be next Tuesday, probably the Tuesday after that, but we'll definitely be talking about that. So thank you for for giving me that topic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're definitely going to talk about it. I appreciate it. So again, thank you all for joining. It has been a great topic. We are 2 hours, 13 minutes in. We are about to get off of here so you can enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. I appreciate each and every one of you for rocking out with me tonight. Shout out to the replay gang that'll be pulling up to the table later. I appreciate you. Please make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Feel free to leave a comment and engage. Make sure you share the video. Share the video with someone that you feel may be able to use what we talked about here tonight. And until next time, thank you all and have a good night. Good night.